Hello and welcome to the Fit News Podcast. I am your host, Jen Shaver, and I have created a new fat loss grocery list to help you get the healthy stuff in your grocery cart. You can get it today to kickstart your journey to a healthier, leaner you with simple and delicious food options. Just visit workwithjenshaver.com to grab it before your next trip to the grocery store. Check the show notes for the link. Now, joining me today is a very special guest, Maggie Vincent. Maggie received her BSN from Akron University and MSN APRN from Kent State University. She's the owner of Revive Wellness and Beauty in Powell, Ohio. It is Ohio's premier destination for self-care and natural beauty. With a wide array of services ranging from IV therapy, laser, and MediRaf to skin analysis to weight loss, Revive Wellness and Beauty is dedicated to nurturing your well-being and enhancing your natural beauty, recognizing that true confidence comes from within. Their mission is to curate indulgent experiences that empower you to prioritize self-care, because they believe that investing in yourself is the ultimate act of self-love and preservation. Maggie, thank you so much for taking the time to join me today.
Yes.
We have a really fun topic because while your salon does offer many options for women, right? I named quite a few. One that is of particular note that is really popular right now and is really on top of everybody's minds are the weight loss drugs and semaglutides, right? So we're going to get into a conversation about those because there's a lot of people have a lot of questions. They don't understand what they are, how they work. So let's get into that. And let's start with, what are semaglutides?
Okay, absolutely. Semaglutides are glucagon-like peptide receptor agonist. And what that means is it mimics the GLP-1 hormone. And by doing that, it is aiding in blood sugar control, and it's also helping with appetite regulation.
So that is how they that's kind of how they work in terms of, right, when they are regulating that appetite, right?
Right, because it's mimicking the GLP-1, hormone that's naturally occurring in the body. Right. Basically how it's working is it binds to the GLP receptor on our pancreatic beta cells. And by doing that, it's increasing our insulin, and then thus is decreasing the glucose. So that's one way that it's helping. Another way is it inhibits the release of glucagon from our pancreatic alpha cells. And glucagon is a naturally occurring hormone in the body, which produces glucose. And so by inhibiting that, we're then decreasing the glucose production from our liver. So then that's helping decrease, the blood sugar. And another way it works is through gastric emptying. It delays our gastric emptying. And what that means is the food that's in your stomach, it's delaying the emptying into the small intestine. And so by doing that, you're decreasing your blood sugar absorption. So then again, it's affecting the blood sugar. And then lastly, it affects the brain. And how doing that, what it does is it gives you that feeling of just feeling full. So it decreases your desire to eat food. This is where you got to be careful, because you still need to eat in order, to maintain your lean muscle. So that, there's kind of a catch there. So you got to be very careful.
Yeah. And so when we're talking about usage and, how is this administered, what is the process there with these medications?
Well, they are administered weekly. It's a weekly injection, which is sub-Q. And you start off on the lower dose. And the way we do it here is you start off on the small dose, and then we would increase it as you're not losing weight. We don't want to increase it if you are losing weight, because what's happening then is you're going to lose lean muscle instead of the fat. And the way we monitor that is through our 3D Fit body analysis. So if you're going to come to our clinic, then what you would do is you would get your 3D Fit body analysis, and then we're able to see what your lean body fat is, your adipose fat is. It gives you your posture, it gives you your weight. So it helps us to then monitor your progress.
Okay, good. And so let's talk about some of the potential benefits of, using these weight loss drugs. What are some of our potential benefits?
Well, the biggest thing that the research is showing is cardiovascular health benefits, which is really exciting to see. People have this thought that semaglutides are the easy way out, but they're not the easy way out. It's actually obesity is a disease. It's a chronic condition in the United States, and semaglutides help with that. And by aiding in cardiovascular health, that's going to then improve your overall health. And it does that by decreasing your cholesterol levels. It can do that by decreasing your blood pressure. People with type 2 diabetes, they're finding it helps prevent cardiovascular events. So there are a lot of benefits from using the semaglutides.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the very first thing that you said is, this is not the easy way out. And I think that is a really important point that we need to get across to people, is to understand that this isn't the easy way out. This is a tool.
Correct.
And just like if I go to the dentist to have a cavity filled, I don't say, I'm good, I don't need any Septicane today. You can just go on in there and start your drilling. I take the Septicane because it's a tool to help me in that process. So this is a tool to help in the weight loss process.
Exactly.
And I think that's I don't, a myth or whatever you want to call that. I think it's something that we need to dispel and really, let people understand that, because, somebody might say, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want people to know that I'm using that, because then they're thinking it's the easy way out. Well, no, it's a tool in your toolbox.
Exactly. We need to break that stigma.
Lifestyle. Yes. And and I think that is something that we really need to educate people on, that because somebody decides to use these medications, it's not the easy way out, because it's not necessarily easy to use these. We have to really be careful in what we're doing and how we're using them. And, it's not just a magic pill, because there's other factors that are going into this. So, while there are many benefits that you listed, there are also some potential side effects, right?
Yes, absolutely. Some potential side effects are the typical nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, abdominal pain. You can get those. Also fatigue. Fatigue is a really big thing that you get, and dehydration. So it's imperative that you drink a lot of water. And also we can combat the fatigue with B12 injections, as well as B complex injections, which then aids in red blood cell production, energy, and then it can also boost your mood.
Yeah. So I think that's something that people need to understand, that this is a medication, so there are side effects, but that doesn't mean don't shy away from it, because at the end of the day, there were more potential benefits.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Is there anybody in particular that maybe should not use these?
Yes, if you have a family history or a personal or family history of medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia, also any pancreatitis history, if you are a type 1 diabetic, and also if you have a history of gastroparesis. And what that is, it's a GI disorder. It's a motility disorder, and it affects the gastric emptying. And as we discussed earlier, what the semaglutides do is it delays the gastric emptying. So if you have gastroparesis, you are not going to want to be on this medication.
Yeah. I want to go back to something that you also mentioned earlier, and that was the muscle loss, and how you, in particular, at your facility, you monitor that, very carefully, because we know that when we're losing weight, right? The weight loss drug doesn't just say, oh, I'm going to go over here and take the fat cells and carry those away, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's just like, no, I'm just taking it all. And so it really comes down to a monitoring, as you are doing as a service for your clients. But then there's also another component to that in lifestyle factors, and making sure that the person is strength training to maintain that muscle.
Exactly. Yes. It comes down, in addition, that's one of the things we ask is, what is your diet? What are you
Right.
doing for, physical activity? What is your level of physical activity?
Mm-hmm.
Because those are all vital as well. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just take the medication and expect a miracle. You
Right.
need to, it's a comprehensive weight loss program.
Right.
And so in addition to the medication and, monitoring it, medical supervision, you also need the diet and the exercise.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And, that is something, again, which is why we said before, it's a tool in the toolbox because it's
Correct.
just one thing, right? So it's not going to take care of everything, which is why we have to make sure that we have to have a holistic approach to this. And we have to look at, what are you eating? Are you eating enough protein to support muscle protein synthesis and hold on to enough lean muscle? Because the dangers of losing, the muscle is frailty as you age. So,
Correct.
so many women are so focused specifically on that number on the scale, which can be very dangerous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's important that we are monitoring that they're losing the fat and not the lean muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's another reason why we want to be very careful with the dosage. We don't want to go up just because the patient wants to go up because they feel like they're not losing the weight fast enough. That's not the correct way to do it. We want to do it properly by monitoring their progress and making sure that they're doing it the healthy way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Because, like you said, it might slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean that, you're not losing the weight. And if you go too fast, you risk losing too much muscle in that process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which again is dangerous,
Ex-
especially
ex-
as we're aging. I mean, it as a midlife woman, you decide to use this tool, you're already losing muscle as you age anyway. So you have to really be careful and use this tool correctly.
right. And you have to remember too that muscle burns more calories than fat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so if you want to build the muscle so that you burn more calories.
Right, right, at rest.
Yeah,
So your muscles are doing the work while you're sitting on your computer typing.
that's right. So that's why you want to have more muscle. Yeah, the more lean muscle
Right,
mass.
right.
Yeah.
And like you said, the diet is also important. So it's important that you are, you know, because while you mentioned that, the person might not feel as hungry anymore because it is, a bit of an appetite suppressant. And, you feel fuller longer. But we need to still make sure that that relationship with food is evolving and changing from what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, because, if you're just going to continue to, make the same choices that you had in the past that maybe weren't, as advantageous to your health, in the end, it's not really going to help you. You may have lost weight using these, but for how long? And not only that, but when you are eating like the fried foods and those types of foods and you're on these medications, you tend to feel a little the side effects, I believe, correct?
Yes, it
Are
can. It can enhance those. Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay. So that's why, like we said, it's a tool, right? It's
Right.
not just the one thing. And I think that's another important point, along with it's not the easy way out. It's not the only thing that you have to do. When you're doing this, you have to take a comprehensive, holistic approach in looking at, how am I going to improve my relationship with food? How am I going to improve my relationship with movement? You know,
Yes. Yes.
and then and go from there. So when you're going through this, what is the monitoring process to, make sure that the person is on the right dose, or and how long, and is there a follow-up? What is involved with all of that?
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. So initially, you meet with Lola, which is our CNP. So you would meet with her, and then she would go over your medical history, review your labs, and then we would do the 3D fit so that we could see what your BMI is. just to kind of give us a good understanding of where you're at and what's happening.
But that also measures the muscle, correct? Which is what you said. Yep. So that is a great starting point, because then we know where you start.
Exactly. And so it literally, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it literally takes a picture of your body. And so in a month or 2 months, when we redo it, you can actually see the outline of what your body was versus the outline of what your body is now. So that it'll show that it's going to show what your lean and muscle is, as well as your fat. It gives your posture. It's an amazing tool for us to help monitor.
Yeah.
So that's the initial process. And then if you meet the criteria, then you would get weekly injections. And in order to be able to do them yourself, you would have to be trained. And we would have to obviously monitor you doing that. And then, once you were like, okay, we think you feel pretty comfortable doing it, then we would allow you to take the medication home yourself. But they are weekly sub-Q injections. And then in addition, here at Revive, we also offer 2 wellness services. And the reason that we do that is because red light therapy can also enhance in weight loss. Our cryo chamber, it aids in weight loss. It aids in any recovery, sports recovery. So as you're going to be doing exercise, it can aid in that. And then the infrared sauna, as well as our vibration plate, which helps with lymphatic drainage, which is important when you're losing weight.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I want to go back just a couple sentences. You mentioned criteria. What is the criteria that someone would have?
I guess I shouldn't have really used the word criteria. Yeah. It's basic, because they're truly, according to the FDA, for it to be covered by insurance, you would need a BMI of 27 with a comorbidity, which would be like diabetes, heart disease, something like that, or a BMI greater than 31.
Okay. And
in that case, then your primary care doctor would probably be able to get it covered by insurance. Other than that, it's not going to be able to be covered.
Okay.
But we still want to look at that. We don't want somebody with a BMI of 18 coming in and getting semaglutides. That would be silly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of more of what I mean. Also, when I say criteria, it's like, what is your medical history? Do you have a history of the medullary thyroid or family history? Have you ever had pancreatitis? Are you a type 1 diabetic? So in those cases, no, we would not put you on the semaglutides.
Right, right. Now, let's say somebody is listening to this and they're not near Powell, Ohio, and they see commercials, on TV or, wherever, of some place that they can order online. Is there something that they should be looking for? Is there, I guess what do they need to be aware of?
Yeah, I'm not a huge advocate of that, just because I don't believe that the monitoring is really being done properly. I think it's really imperative that I personally feel that you should come into the office so that we can see you and talk to you, and really see kind of what's going on. We will do telehealth, but you would definitely have to see the NP every 6 months in person. But I think that they're out there and they're saying, oh, we can get it for $297, but then you're not, you got to remember, you're also having to see the nurse practitioner, and you're also having to have a teleconference every month in order to continue getting that medication. And here at Revive, what I think makes it so much better is that you're also getting your 3D fit body analysis done, and you're getting medical supervision. You're getting a lot of support. And you're also getting 2 wellness services, because we're going to be your cheerleader, as well as, like, in your program, you're going to be their biggest cheerleader.
Right. Now, what is the long-term commitment for using these? Like, what should somebody expect?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because it really depends on the individual. And if you're a type 2 diabetic, you're probably going to need to be on semaglutides, pretty much for the long haul. Somebody that is coming in and wants to lose 20 pounds, doesn't have type 2 diabetes, is generally over, healthy individual who is willing to do the work, do the exercise, that kind of thing. I think you could wean them off and then just kind of monitor them, and then see, do we need to continue, or, at a maintenance dose, or can we just slowly wean you off? It really depends on the individual.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that again comes down to what we were saying before about it being holistic, and that you can't just expect this to take care of it and then poof, everything's okay.
Right.
Because, we do have to go back and look at the diet and the exercise, because if those two components aren't taken care of, once you do start to go, wean yourself off of this, you're going to just end up back to square one.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So, it's important to make sure that, what you're doing is monitored, as you mentioned, so you can monitor the, not just the weight loss, right, but the muscle,
Right.
and make sure that, we're not, you know, losing too much of that. There's going to be, obviously, like we said, this stuff doesn't just go in and say, hey, come here, fat loss. I'm just taking fat today.
Right.
Visceral fat only, it's
We wish it did that, but it doesn't.
and until they come up with that, we have to, create the monitoring, like you said, and make sure that the diet and the lifestyle habits are changing
Right.
in order to have success down the road. And I would think that if you're going to invest in something of this magnitude, that you would want to invest fully and say, yeah, I want to, revamp this whole thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, are there any questions that you usually get from, you know, your, um, your clients regarding these that maybe we didn't cover?
Honestly, I think we've covered everything. The one thing would be more severe side effects, which are rare, but which would be pancreatitis, cholecystitis, hypoglycemia. Those are the more severe. But I really think the biggest thing is making sure that the patient understands that they have to stay hydrated and you have to eat. When you're eating, you've got to eat in small amounts because your gastric emptying is delayed. So it's going to sit in your stomach a little bit longer. So you're going to want to eat small meals throughout the day. And what should you eat? You should be eating protein with something, whether it be, a vegetable, whether it be a fruit or, a piece of bread. But you know what I mean? Like the important thing is that throughout the day, you're just doing little bites throughout the day, and you are making sure that you're incorporating protein in there, and you're drinking water. You do not want to get dehydrated.
Yeah.
And also, if you drink alcohol, this is something that, people, we all like to have a glass of wine or something, but you do need to be careful, because you got to remember that when you're on these semaglutides, if your blood sugar spikes, you're going to get insulin production. So if you're drinking the wine and then, or any kind of alcohol, I just wine as an example, it's going to spike your insulin. So you want to be careful there as well. Yeah. Because we don't want you to get hypoglycemic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, that's the whole idea is, again, we're talking about a whole lifestyle change, right?
Right.
Now, it doesn't have to be radical. We're not saying you're giving up everything and, but we're kind of shifting our mindset in how we view food and the foods that we're going to consume. And we're now going to fuel our bodies to feel better.
Right.
Yeah. And so if they're focused on, like you said, that protein, getting that fiber in to help things keep moving along with that water.
Yes.
Which is why you said a fruit or a vegetable with each meal, have that protein and have a fruit or vegetable, because you get that fiber in there and that water, and things will work a little smoother, because I know you mentioned constipation can also be a side effect, and nobody wants to feel like that, right?
No.
The point is that lifestyle changes have an effect on the side effects. And so if you're, changing your lifestyle habits, your side effects can be minimized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good. Is there anything else you can think of that we may have missed regarding these that people really need to know?
I don't think so. I don't know if anyone, questions, but I feel like we've covered. I think that I just want to make sure that everybody knows it's not the easy way out.
Right.
We need to break the stigmatism that, oh, this person's on semaglutides. It's truly, like you said, it's a tool in the toolbox, and it's going to help you to, with your weight loss journey and help you reach your goals. And that's really what we're here for.
Right. Exactly.
And we want to do it safely, and effectively. That's the key is we want to do it safely.
Right. Right. And, if you have any questions, obviously our listeners can reach out to either one of us through the podcast. But Maggie, I thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, I'm so glad to have been able to be on with you. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was great. And thank you for listening to the Fit News Podcast, and we will catch you next time.